Fantasy football for newbies. Yeah.
Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to Fantasy Football for Newbies. So, today what we're going to be talking about, or in this video we're going to be talking about, is priority of players. Now, I mentioned running backs, QBs, wide receivers, stuff like that, that you draft. Now, what I'm going to talk about is the priority of when you should be drafting those specific players. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule into this draft strategy I'm going to show you, but for majority of the players, this is going to follow suit very, very generically, is what I can say. So, now if you're in a standard scoring league, what that means is there's no points per reception, there's no bonus points, it's just a regular basic, top of the line, just regular, standard, basic league. This is the draft strategy you're going to want to be looking at, and these are the positions in when the draft that these players should be getting taken by you or by other people. Now, there are exceptions to the rules. There are people who will go get Aaron Rodgers in the first round, Tom Brady in the first round, Rob Gronkowski in the first round, star players who, in my opinion, sometimes are higher up than they should be in the draft. Now, me being a big Aaron Rodgers fan, knowing that that guy produces fantasy points, the highest I will ever take him is in the third round. A lot of people will look at me and go, that's insane. He's a first round pick. You know what? In some leagues, he is a first round pick. For instance, a double quarterback bonus point league, you better believe I'm probably hitting that guy. If I'm 10th pick, I'll go Rodgers Brady back to back. I have no problem with that. But what we're talking about right now is standard scoring league. In the first 10 picks of the first round, this is based on 10 players. I can't do it. Anyways, 10 players, everyone should be taking a top running back. And that's why I have RB1. That's your Leonard Fournette, your Le'Veon Bell, your Todd Gurley, your David Johnson, players like that who are workhorses, who are just pounding the ball, 20 plus carries a game. They're the meat of your team. Running backs are one of the biggest points that you will get in a standard scoring league. Reason being is they are fed the ball a lot. That's why in standard scoring, running backs are key. So that's why if you see in the first 15, 16 picks, you will see that it's running back 1, running back 2, all the way up until pick 15. Then you get into the wide receivers. For the next two, which will be 10 picks, people get the wide receivers. Now, there will be somebody up in here that will take Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, players like that are stellar because they do match up pretty well with running backs. Now, that's for you to decide with your game strategy. If, say your 10th pick and 9 running backs have been taken and you are, I'm going to take a good receiver right now because I'm 10th pick and then I'll take a running back on my 11th pick, go for it. But you should be taking at least one running back in the first round or within the first 2 rounds. Then it drops down to your RB3, wide receiver 3 for the next 10 picks. Then in the next 10 picks, again, wide receiver 4, RB4. You don't get a different position until you get into the 6th round with QB1. Now, that's where I believe you should be taking people like, Eli Manning, Deshaun Watson, Carson Wentz, people like that are still left over because in these top rounds here, that's where Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, the stellar quarterbacks are going to go. And you know what? When drafting, it's about value. It's about getting a player way after than when you should get them. And so if you're able to get Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady in round 5, you go for it. But if he's not there, don't push it, in my opinion. I never push and reach for a quarterback that early. Reason being is, in standard scoring, quarterbacks are not your backbone. Plus, you only start one quarterback. You need a lot of running backs. You start in a typical league 2 running backs, and then you can start a 3rd one in your flex. That's a lot of running backs, so you better be drafting them heavy here. The reason, the way I draft when I'm doing standard or PPR is my first 8 picks in a draft are running backs and receivers. I want a good core of running backs and receivers because they're the players that get hurt the most. They're the player spots that you have to fill the most. And they're also the players that can make or break your team. So now what I want to do is I want to jump over to PPR scoring. Now, you'll notice there's a little bit of difference with PPR. And the reason being is wide receivers start to get a little bit more value in a PPR league. Reason being is in PPR it's called points per reception. So every time they catch the ball, it's 1 point, which is insane. Like you get Antonio Brown, he gets 10 receptions. That's just 10 points off him catching the ball. That's not even, he could catch the ball for 0 yards, and you still get a point. So, as you notice, in the first 5 rounds, I still have the RB1s. But those are the running backs you target that are the dual threats. Those are the guys who catch the ball and run the ball, like Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Todd Gurley can do it as well, many others. But those are the guys that you go after early because they are the stellar dual threats. Then as you can see in the back half of that first round, you go after the wide receiver ones, your Antonio Brown, your Julio Jones, your Michael Thomases, stuff like that. The people that are getting 7 to 11 targets a game. DeAndre Hopkins is another one up there. Now that he has Deshaun Watson, definitely in that top 10 category of picks. Then you start to see it staggers. RB1, wide receiver 1, RB2, wide receiver 2, and then it hits wide receiver 3. And the reason being is PPR. Once you start to get to RB3, it starts to come down pretty hard in value, and that's why you still keep picking up those wide receiver 3s, like your Javaris Landrys. I can't really think of any other ones right now, but you get the picture. They're your slot receivers. They're the little guys that get 3 or 4 targets, but they get some big plays. That's where you're getting your wide receiver 3s at. And then, as you notice, it starts to come down, and again, you have wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 back-to-back again. Because actually, in PPR, you are okay with starting a wide receiver in your flex because they do get those points through the receptions. Then you'll notice I actually have tight end in here. And the reason being is because a tight end is a receiver. They will catch the ball just like a receiver. Now, Gronk is obviously going to go up here in the top couple picks. Maybe a Greg Olsen in here and a couple other ones. But if you get David Njoku or some other one, can't really think of any right now because I'm trying to do it off the top of my head. But you get the point. You get those tier 2 tight ends. Eric Ebron was a good one. I don't know where he's going yet. I haven't checked into it. Evan Ingram is now a tier 1, but you may be able to get him that low because people are still fighting over wide receivers and stuff like that. So that's where in the back half of round 5, I have tight ends because you're going to want to pick them up here or after your quarterback here because they're just that good in a PPR league. Now, as you notice, over here I have the quarterback in the back half of the 6th round. In this one, I have them in the beginning of the 7th round. I believe it's the 7th round. Can I count here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7th round. So in the beginning of the 7th round, I have the quarterbacks in there. Again, that's where you go after your Deshaun Watson, your Carson Wentz, your Eli Manning, the guys like that are consistent, but they're not the powerhouses like Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So really, it's all about coming up with what your draft strategy will be. As you can see, if I was in draft position 1 through 5, I'd be hitting a running back. If I'm in position 6 through 10, I'm hitting a wide receiver. Now, if I'm 10 and 11, or I'm 6 and I'm 6 pick, these right here, I'm hitting a wide receiver 1 and then an RB2 right after that. Then you come down a little bit further. Now I'm here. I'm hitting a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Now I've got 3 receivers and a running back. Now later on, I'm hitting a couple running backs. I may take this wide receiver 3 and kick it down to a running back. Just got to play with it, see where things are going, with your draft strategy when you're making it. But the whole point is to formulate a plan of what players you're going to take based on the draft position. Say you get number 1, you're like, David Johnson. hands down, that's my number 1 pick if I get it. If I don't get number 1 pick and he falls to me at number 2 pick, I'm snapping him up. If not, I'm taking Le'Veon Bell. You see where I'm going with this? You just formulate a plan of who you're going to take, what draft position you have. Basically, it comes down to write a player in that you're going to take at that specific moment. If they're not there in that round, take the best available player, and you'll never miss out on anything on that. A lot of the times, the best available player is better than some of the people that you could reach for sometimes. So really, it's all about formulating that plan and sticking to it. So I hope this helped you guys, and I hope to see you in the next video, and have a wonderful day.